Facebook Ads, the podcast. This is episode 15, how you can create middle of funnel audiences to enhance your results, with myself, Nick Boddington, and Matt Rubus. Hi, Matt.
Hello. How are we doing?
All right, thank you. Yeah, I love the way we've comment on this, but we've been speaking for the last half an hour. Hey, how are you doing, Matt? Yeah, I'm really good.
How are you? Yeah, we've been chatting all morning and we know how we are. We talk quite a lot, funnily enough.
I know. Yeah. Well, so this one, this episode has basically come from a conversation that Matt and I had on a client that we've just won yesterday. And Matt said, it's funny because we spend so much time looking at campaign objectives using conversion for leads, for purchases and stuff like that. But you forget about some of the earlier ones on how you can actually make those really, really work. So Matt sort of reminded me of it. I then reminded myself of going really old school on how you can do get page likes from bloody India, which we don't really use anymore because our clients aren't the sort of clients to have that, but you can. So we'll go over that. And we're going to go over things like how you can create audiences based on video views, link clicks, URLs, all this sort of stuff, which really, really then enhance your middle of funnel. So the reason we sort of discussed this yesterday was because we've got a new client that sells racing bike wheels, and they're quite high ticket. You're looking at 1,200 quid, well, actually 1,300 quid for a pair. So we were thinking of a strategy, and you were like, maybe we really need to go down that enhancement point of view from using their Instagram and Facebook posts, see what's worked there, and then we can start building audiences based off it. Because when you've got a high ticket product like that, you really got to start using the top, middle, and bottom, the toff, moff, and boff. Otherwise, you can't just go straight out to get someone to buy it. So, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
To discuss what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Bit lighter than last week, isn't it, this topic?
Yeah. iOS 14. Nothing's crazy changed on that since we recorded the last podcast. So If anything does change, then you guys will be the first to know that are listening. But yeah, this is a bit more of a lighter one and hopefully very value packed. The second podcast recording from Zoom because of still being heavily in lockdown. So yeah, just a kind of caveat to say that we're experimenting with different ways of audio on this at the moment, guys. So hopefully this is all sounding okay for you. Yeah, point in question.
We're going to have to get some big headphones soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Look like we really know what we're doing. But we are flexing AirPods, according to my kids. It's like, oh, can I have your every day? It's like, can I have your AirPods for school? No, you can't. It's 170 quid. We are flexing.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, since I've had my AirPods, game changer. Absolutely love them. But yeah, I think a couple of things with the whole full funnel strategy in the top, middle and bottom. I don't think you necessarily need to, and Nick, might be one more for you in terms of the e-com, is that you don't necessarily need to have all of those components all of the time, and it does very much depend on the business and the product. And I think what we're sort of seeing is that for most products that are say less than 100 quid, on the whole, you can just go out cold with an ad, and that will get you conversions, and you'll get your return on ad spend. But the client in question that you mentioned yesterday, it's way more than £100, isn't it? So we do have to kind of adjust our kind of funnel strategy, I guess, for that one. And
it's actually like you're doing a lead gen, isn't it? You've actually got to go more down a lead gen strategy because this person's got to be nurtured. You're not going to get someone to spend 1,300 quid on a pair of tyres or wheels. Sorry, not tyres. Client will listen to this and go, it's not bloody tyres.
Yeah, what kind of wheels are we talking anyway, Nick? Are they for bicycles, right?
Bicycle. Well, I've learned this. So
is it road bikes? Is that what
I'm not a cyclist myself.
No, I'm not.
I'm not a cyclist myself, but James is. He's doing his Ironman, isn't he? #Ironman.
Yeah.
And so I learned about this yesterday on the client call, where when you could spend up to £10,000 on a racing bike, like these guys who you see on Saturdays and Sundays getting in your way. Sorry for any cyclists that are listening, but you do drive a car as well. So please respect the fact that we are behind you on a lane wanting to overtake, and we have got better things to do. Sorry, just had to say that to anyone listening. Remember, you were driving a car yesterday. So they could spend $2,000, $3,000, up to 10,000 on a bike, and these cyclists will be who's listening to this podcast will go, really? You get bog standard wheels, so you can spend $2,000 on a racing bike, and the $9,000 mate who thinks is way above you has pretty much got the same wheels. I didn't realize this. I thought, the wheels are a massive component of it, which they are, because you're essentially using it's a frame on two wheels to get you around.
Yeah.
So this company their background is like making sails, carbon fiber sails. So where you've got these really big rims, so you've got the spokes that lead to the little steel circle that have the tire on it. That big, people are listening going, what the fuck? That's really thick on these. It's like carbon fiber, but really thick. I'm talking like 3 or 4 inches thick. So it acts like a sail. So apparently when you're cycling, 80%, 90% is crosswind. The wind hits your wheel, hits this sail rim, and pushes you along to go either faster or makes it less energetic to cycle. So you have a massive advantage. And that's basically it. So I was like, oh, wow, cool. But so the whole thing, we're going a bit onto my onboarding call, but for those people listening, this would be quite interesting, because you need to think about, if it's your own product or you're an agency selling for a product, you need to think about you need to get into the avatar of that person who's buying that product. And that means that if someone's going to spend that kind of money, yes, fine, I'm going to go and find people who have bought their bike originally from Wiggle, but they're one of 10 mates who go cycling on a Sunday, and they're all competitive, and they want to have the better bike and the better thing. So I'm really optimistic about it, because I think people are going to come in, those cycling enthusiasts who are literally hiding their £1,000 sale from their wife on the credit card and making sure it gets delivered to another bloody address so their wife doesn't know they spent a fortune on something. There's loads of them out there because they're addicted to their bike, and especially in this sort of lockdown time. So that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, our chat yesterday was about that funnel of, I need to get them from Facebook to show an interest, to come into an audience, to be retargeted in the middle of funnel, which might be another video or something, or showing the different types of bike, rims or wheels, and then taking them down into the purchase.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on then from that? On the engagement pot at the top.
Yeah, so I checked out their Instagram page, and they already have a very engaged audience. So that's what prompted me to go down this route, because I'm very big, as you know, and the listeners probably know by now, that unless you have a shitload of money, you can build a business from the ground up with ads, but you have to be prepared for, investment, potentially losing money whilst you're testing and all that kind of thing. But when ads really, really excel is when they amplify something that is already working and that's doing really, really well. So that's what prompted me on the engagement campaign for this client, because they already have an engaged audience. They have lots of engagement happening on their posts. So a great way to continue to build that audience and to nurture it and to amplify those results could be to take a couple of those posts and move them over into Ads Manager and put ad spend behind them in order to get the engagement even bigger and bigger and bigger. At that point, the message is not about selling. It's just about building the community, getting people excited about the products, building that audience as big as we can get it, to then have more of that kind of hardcore sales message at the bottom of the funnel, rather than just like going straight in at the top, come and buy these £1,500 wheels.
Yeah. And it's cheap, isn't it? So doing video views or retargeting that video. So 2 things here. How does the audience, because this is really cool, how do you use a post that's already been used?
So there's 2 options. There's a promote on Instagram or a boost button on Facebook, and we say, do not use that. All that will happen if you click on that is it will just put the post in front of more people and not actually get the objective that you actually want, which in this case is for people to engage, because the people that are engaging are a warmer audience than somebody that's just looking at something. They would have clicked on the post, replied to it, shared it. All of that stuff is what an engagement post is. So what we can do is take the ID from that post, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and input it into an ad in Ads Manager, and then we can put budget behind that, and that will but we're selecting page post engagement. So it's not reach, it's not traffic, it's engagement, because we want to build that warm audience up. The idea being, like you've just said, that when we then use that audience because they're warmer, it's, the data says that then that cost per acquisition is going to be less than a cold audience. Yeah. And it's just less of a hard sell as well by that point.
Plus, if you were to boost, you can't create the audience, can you? So you have to. Can you? Can you do that?
You can, yeah, you can, but it's so limited, which is again why we don't advise it. So there are a few options in there. Like one of them is, I think, just target people that are similar to your Instagram followers already, which is fine if you're confident that the people that are already on your channel are the right audience. Going back to your point of your ideal avatar. But yeah, you can be so much more sophisticated and much easier to test. I think that's the key, is testing the audiences in Ads Manager.
Yeah. So once they go into an audience, you would build the audience on people who've watched the video, and Facebook then lets you choose the video. It knows what video your ad's running. Because once you've done that, you can then start seeing how many people have watched 25%, 50%, 75, 90%. And if you've got a lot of data coming in, you can then break it down to say, actually, I'm going to retarget to people who watch 50% of the video. So if your video is like, well, I've done some in the past for my own advertising where it's been like a 9-minute long video and there's a lot of data coming back. So you can retarget people who watch 75%. So if they're watching 75% of a 9-minute long video, they're super, engaged with what you're doing.
That, just to note, that would be a video views objective rather than a.
Of course it is. Sorry.
Page post engagement. That, just to clarify that.
Sorry, went off. Right. You could do that as well.
So that is, I guess, like if we're talking about like 3 audiences today, you've got the page post engagement one, which could be a video, whatever the post is that's doing well at the moment, then that can be whatever. It can be a video, it can be an image, but that's just about engagement, like comments, likes. What Nick's saying is about.
Could you still do that though? Can you still build an audience based on people who watch the video that you've used as a post engagement?
Yeah. To be fair, you could. Yeah. So that's kind of twofold. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. So any video that's been posted can be used as a video views campaign, which means that then, like you've just said, you can retarget people that have watched a certain.
It doesn't even have to be on, does it?
No,
it doesn't even have to be on.
No, it can. It could be like a, it might be that you'd say, right, okay, what I'm going to do is, as a warm audience, I'm going to target anybody that's watched 25%, 50%, say, of any video that we've posted in the last 3 months.
Yeah. So the one thing. So when you were talking about earlier how you can did you cover taking the post ID to create that post? Yeah. So when you do that, it means you can't. Can you edit the post once you've done that? So you've taken the post ID, but you can't. It has to be exactly the same. So this is something I learned in the past when I got frustrated, years ago actually, when I found out about this sort of strategy, was that when you start. No, I don't want to overcomplicate things. You have to sort of build when you're going to go for engagement anyway. So let's say it's like, okay, I'll take you to the example of page likes. So that will explain what I'm trying to get to. So one of the things we did for a t-shirt company was they wanted as many page likes as possible. So you want to create the social proof. So engagement's great for using legitimate social proof. Like you could send it to anyone. So let's say it's let's say it's our client who does the skin eczema. So it could be like, well, I want loads of page likes. So you could just go out there and get people to like your page in the UK who are mums, legitimately, but it's more expensive. A really cheap way of doing it, which we did for a t-shirt company, was we did exactly the same. We took a post, we took the post ID, but it wasn't a post that we'd done out. So what I'm getting to is, rather than doing a post, there was no post going. So we created a traffic ad that we were going to use, or a purchase conversion ad that we were going to use. But before we switched that on, we wanted to get engagement on it. So we build the traffic or purchase conversion ad. We let it go live for a second. We turn it off. Then we go and get the ID and put it into a post engagement for likes. Send it to India, Thailand, Bangladesh, whatever, and it comes back super, super, super cheap for page likes. But yes, if the audience thinking, but they're all going to be Indian and Thai and names, yes, they are. And depending on your brand, what you're doing here, you might not want that. So if anyone clicked into the t-shirt ad, because I think for like £3, we would end up with about 3,500 page likes in like 24 hours. So because you're using the same ID, you've got your post campaign going to India, 2,500 likes for £3. You switch it off, but the post ID then, when you turn on the purchase conversion ad, it relates to it because you've used the same ID. So then anyone who sees the purchase conversion ad says, "Oh my god, it must be legitimate. They've got 2,500 likes on this post." And that worked really, really well because you immediately get that social engagement. But it does really pay, it pays dividends to who that brand is. A lot of brands aren't going to do it like that. Drop shippers will do it.
I think it really does depend. Like, it's not something I would want to do with any of like our current clients.
No way.
It depends on what niche you're in and stuff like that. Because it's not a strategy I'm massively keen on. But I get it, and I think it just depends on where you're at in your business.
Yeah,
like especially if you were starting,
they can do the same thing. You can do the same thing for the UK. So if you want your post to have engagement from the off, just send it to people in the UK. You're just going to be paying more, like I don't know,
more
10 to 30p, depending on the audience. But if you just want British names, you could just send it to anyone in the UK, just to get British names liking it for a lot cheaper by keeping the audience as broad as possible.
Yeah, I guess looking at the kind of middle of funnel audiences, then we've touched on video views. So, video works really well at top of funnel in terms of like that kind of brand awareness piece. So then at the middle of funnel, you can retarget people that have viewed that video. You can retarget people that have been on your website. So that's another custom conversion that you can build out. And also people that have engaged with you on social.
That works great for a retargeting point of view, doesn't it? Especially if they've got a large audience. You can just put, like, even if they've got you got 4,000 page likes, you could just put a really low budget on retargeting people who've liked your page. Because of 4,000, if you put on £10 a day, it's going to fly through that in seconds. But even if you just put like £3 on it.
I've been calling it a 7-day stack, and I've been introducing this audience into a number of clients. So it's basically anybody that's viewed the website in the last 7 days, anybody that's engaged on Instagram in the last 7 days, anybody that's engaged on Facebook in the last 7 days. And why this audience is great is because this is an audience that you would never have to touch because of that window being so short. So if people if they engage with you, and also it really helps with frequency, and then they don't engage with you in that window of time of 7 days, they just fall out at the end. But then we've also got new people that are coming in constantly within that 7-day period. So it really helps with frequency. And if somebody then does re-engage with a video or with an Instagram post, they then get reintroduced into that cycle again. So it's a really good way of like bringing fresh people back all of the time.
What are the 7 ones? Can you repeat what the 7 ones are? Do you know what they are exactly off the top of your head?
So the 7 days? So seven, like all website visitors in the last 7 days, Instagram engagers and Facebook engagers in the last 7 days.
Yeah, so if you're doing active stuff, there's always going to be someone in there new seeing that's real. I like that.
Yeah, I've done it. So there's a client that I'm working on at the moment with lead gen, and since they've been running their kind of like lead gen campaign for months and months and months, and their average cost per lead has been £2.20. Since I've introduced that 7-day stack, it's come down to less than £1 on their cost per lead.
So from an e-com point of view, you can build as many of those as you want. So you could have those, then you could have a 7-day add to cart, a 7-day initiate checkout, a 7-day viewed content. Do you know if they become unique to each other from when Facebook's retargeting? So if you charge, because initiate checkout and add to cart is the same person has gone through. I wonder if I'm just talking out loud, whether Facebook would actually make them mutually exclusive from a retargeting point of view.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, in that case, that you'd probably want to put those into like one ad set.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, people who've done those actions.
Yeah, I think you'd almost go like, well, this is kind of like the same like that. Where are they in terms of warmth? So they would probably just
you can do loads of stuff, can't you? Because someone who knows understands the custom conversions, you could do different pages on the website. People who've gone to a pricing page, all sorts of stuff.
I think
and then you just run it as campaign optimization. Sorry to interrupt. Would you run it as campaign budget optimization, so it feeds through them all, or would you put an ad set budget on each one?
So when I say the 7-day stack, that's one ad set. So all of those are just in one ad set, because I'm just saying that, like, for anyone, wherever they engage anywhere, that's just I only care about wherever they engage with my brand in 7 days, just one ad set.
Okay, got you.
Does that make sense? So, like,
yeah, I was thinking you were going to stack them underneath each other, like an actual stack. See what I mean? You could if they had loads of volume, though, couldn't you?
Yeah. But I think for it's just a case of without overcomplicating it, this is just a re-engagement, warm audience that always can just stay on, and it constantly is serving that ad to fresh people because of the window being so short. They come in, if they're not interested after 7 days, they might re-engage in another campaign later. But the 7-day is, it's just working brilliantly across a number of different clients. So definitely try it on your e-com stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
It was when we had that client the other day, when they had the highest number of purchases, it came from that audience.
Wow. Do you label it the 7-day stack?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you do the settings so you get the 7 days?
So it's going to be 3 custom audiences, and you go in to create that custom audience, and then you just select your Instagram account, and then you just choose engagement, and then you just literally type 7, and you do the same for Facebook, and then you do the same for website visitors, but that would come under the option website. So you click website, and then you don't even need to put a URL in, because you just select all website visitors and then just type 7.
So this is using the engagement campaign objective.
No, this is using the objective of what you want the person to do.
Lead or purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, got you.
Where it works really well is if you actually use campaign budget optimization, but you have your top of funnel and your middle of funnel in the same campaign, because that audience is so small, Facebook will distribute that budget accordingly, so it won't overspend on smaller audience.
No, I really like that. I'm gonna use that. I already know who I'm gonna use it for.
Do you? Yeah,
which is brilliant.
I look forward to hearing how it works for you, because, like I said, it is working across a number of clients at the moment. And I purposely waited until the podcast, because it brings out more in the conversation, and you're like asking me more questions, which I'm hoping is then going to help listeners.
It's brilliant.
But it's been running for a few days on a number of clients, and it's working really well. So,
and you can never turn it off. It doesn't have to be turned off, does it?
No, because it's always.
What budget are you spending on it?
Well, I'm just putting it into the overall campaign budget optimization.
And what would your day be on average?
So like, if say we were doing like, I don't know, we use our rule of thumb of like £5 a day per audience. So say I had a campaign with 2 cold audiences, and that was on £10 a day. This is the type of audience that you could still include within that campaign. So you'd actually have 3 audiences at that level because of the audience being so small.
Okay, yeah.
But I've not experimented with actually like breaking it out and deciding on my own budget, because then I have to keep an eye on the frequency. So it's easier for me to just let Facebook distribute that budget. But you don't need to spend a lot on it because it's such a small audience.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, I'm really excited to see this sort of put out on a video, because I want to sort of get going on this next week with some clients, and I'm sure the listeners, because our podcast's working now. We're taking on clients and stuff from people listening to this podcast, which is really exciting. Yeah. So we now know that rather than you and I just talking to an empty world, we're now talking to people who are actually people are downloading. We've got a really good graph. So thank you all listeners for carrying on downloading and engaging with this podcast.
Welcome aboard if you're a new client. Let's just join the team. It's good to have you, and we'll be having sponsors on here soon. Maybe not.
Yeah, but that's really important. It's like, you could think that people go, even if you're telling other agencies or whatever how to do things, but in a way, there's so many different ways to optimize things. And, one of the things that we find in the industry is that a lot of people just send traffic. It's the most common word in digital marketing is sending traffic. So as soon as anyone goes onto a Facebook ad and sets up anything, they usually look at the traffic one and go, I did right at the beginning. It was like, well, I'll obviously send traffic.
Yeah.
The purchase conversion, that looks a bit confusing. I don't really know what that means. So it's like so many people do that. And because we then fall into a zone of always using the campaign objectives and the catalog for e-com and stuff like that, we forget about all the really cool stuff you can do with the other ones if used properly. Because there's another one with reach, how you can use reach in so many cool different ways. We can look at that on the next podcast, actually, which probably won't be as long, but there's some good little techniques you can use reach for. And I suppose we need to be reminded of it, and other people listening need to be reminded of these things to go, I need to try that, because you're always just trying to find something to make things, the results better.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just remembering that at the end of the day, the person on the end of that Facebook ad is a human. And it's a bit cheesy and it's a bit cliche, but it is true. Like, you can't just walk down the street and say to somebody that you've never met before, do you want to buy this wheel off of me for £1,500? Right? They're like, I don't know who you are. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to talk today about that middle funnel, that warm part where you need to warm people up. And hopefully it's made sense with the video views, the engagement, and all of that stuff today, that you can nurture a person from cold to purchase at that level.
Yeah.
If your ads are built in the right way. And I'll definitely share the little kind of 7-day stack thing that I've been testing.
Perfect. Okay, well, that rounds up episode 15 nicely, doesn't it? Thanks again, Matt, for your time. Thanks to myself again for the time. And
thanks for being here, Nick.
Because we've actually been really good and conscientious on this podcast, I feel. I think maybe when we're sitting next to each other, because we're not in lockdown, we get a little bit silly, don't we? And things like that. Whereas we've been very serious on these ones, because it's like we're on our sort of morning team Zoom calls where we're having to talk about clients.
That might be what it is. Yeah. Do you think we need to just chill out a little bit more then?
Well, this was informative, wasn't it? We have to go serious sometimes, but you need a little banter. I think people like the banter.
Yeah.
If you can't see Matt shaved his head. So if you do watch this on YouTube, then Matt shaved his head. He now looks like he's escaped out of prison and looks like he's going around beating people up. Actually suits him though. I'm just jealous because I've got a pea head.
Look like a thug. But no, I was sort of like, COVID cut.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good few months until I can get it sorted, and I'll just end up looking. I don't think clients need to see me looking like that messy, so hopefully now.
No, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I've come to realise that clients really don't care about, we can sit here in a dressing gown just to make me money.
That's exactly. Who cares? Just run my ads well, and that's fine. Doesn't matter what you look like.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely great having the extra 5 minutes in bed in the morning, I can tell you.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, guys. Right. Well, we'll wrap this one up. Enjoy your ads. Remember, ads are working amazingly well, even though we're in lockdown. So it's a great new thing to learn. If your business isn't already doing it, you need to do it. Jesus Christ, you need to do it. So good luck with everything. You know where we are. If you want any help on your ads, or you want us to run your ads for you, then you can go to letsrunsocial.com. I think there'll be a little contact us form in there. There's a nice video that we've done. Spent a lot of money on that video, so please watch it. And one of our sales guys will be in touch. A little plug at the end.
Yay.
Brilliant. Awesome. We'll see you on episode 16.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.